hopefully in the future, like in a later episode, I'll try to. I'm not promising anything, but I'll try to have like an episode where I run you through the production of this one because I feel like it'll be fun. Okay, although I didn't really promise to film a track breakdown for Gifted Kid, I somehow managed to film one for you guys. And mostly for me, to be honest, because I feel like I did too well on this track in terms of producing it and arranging it to not show you the behind the scene. One of my favorite tracks on the album as well, obviously. So let's just get right into it. I'll let you listen to it for a little bit first before I explain anything.
Take away all of the stars that kid was gifted. Tell him that he's not different from everybody else. Hold back the thought that one day he should light up the sky. Not every star belongs in the same sky. Call me.
Okay, so that was just the verse. And this is probably one of the only songs that I start with producing drums first, if not the only song that I start producing with drums. And if you still remember how Living in Circles ends, because Gifted Kid, like I told you last time, is gonna be the very next track after Living in Circles. And the ending of that song it was quite a cliffhanger, and that was intentional, obviously. So I just feel like in terms of the dynamic and the flow of the album, starting straight away with Gifted Kid at this point, I don't know, I feel like I would give it a dynamic release first. Yeah, here's the drums first. It's really simple, just 4 on the floor. Yep, that was the main like idea or the drive for the drum for this song. At this point, I want to start to like change the flow or the energy of the album into more of this more upbeat. And then in the second half, we have the snare and the hi-hat comes in. To contrast that, or not really to contrast, but like to give it the ambient, I just have just the guitar completely drowned in delay. And let's see, I think it's a preset in Logic as well, and then just put some extra echo on it. But then when I put in the drums, and then the second half, I add in the bass, which was technically my guitar. I recorded my guitar in and then I pitch it down an octave. Really fuzzy, really distorted. That is the vibe that I'm going for here as well, which is very, very, very different. Altogether, in the second half of the verse, it sounds like this. I'll play it with my vocal as well.
Everybody else. Hold back the thought that one day he should light up the sky. Not every star belongs in the same sky.
Going into the pre-chorus, there is not some, but a lot of interesting things happening here. First of all, the drum is going into halftime. Why? Well, obviously to contrast, but in the pre-chorus, if you still remember the lyrics, it's where I'm starting to explain why I'm hating that Gifted Kid. The chord progression itself is going into double time. Yeah, it's going into double time. When you think about it, like the drum is going into halftime, like, so you feel like the pace is slowing down. However, the harmonic rhythm is going into double time. So it's feel like you want to slow down and speed up at the same time. The contradiction that I try to do there. The guitar is dropped out, and I introduced this really lush arpeggio. It's probably a preset from Logic as well, and then I tweak it, and then added some extra reverb even. Even the rhythm of the bass line itself, it changes from going dun 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 quarter notes. Other things as well that I add in. This is the half point of the pre-chorus. I already started building energy slowly from, I would say, like from after only a quarter of the pre-chorus, and we start having the synths in as well. That is just beefing up the harmony. And I have this counter melody as well on like a really plucky synth. But then there's one thing that I absolutely love in the entire song. This guitar, like a lead line. You hear that tone? Oh my god. What did I put on there? No, I tweaked it from a preset in Logic as well. I abuse presets a lot when it comes to like just guitar and synth on here. Most of the time I started out with preset and then I tweak it. But then again, most of the time too, I have like a specific, not specific, but like a broader range of sound that I'm thinking of would fit here, and then I start to hunt them down in the presets. And once I find ones that are like close enough, I would then tweak it. It sounds really cool as well, like you just heard earlier, even without drum and bass. But with the drum and bass, it's definitely gonna sound different. I'll play you from the second half of the pre-chorus into the chorus as well, so you can tell how the energy is built up and then released in the chorus.
Impressed, you just want the best. That you never promised the kid anything. When they tried to touch the sun with paper wings, that they burn up the sky. Keep running ahead. You'll be there in time. Your pacing is just right. Keep running ahead. You can trust yourself. You don't need no fake wings.
Okay, let's have a look at what's going on here. So we still have the same instruments pretty much, and they're just playing different things now. I think the drum is pretty much the same as the verse. Yeah, there's a couple more fills here and there, but then the bass, I think the bass is different. It's more of a bass line now. It sounds a lot more melodic, as you can tell. And the reason why it sounds like that is derived from the rhythm in the guitar. Because I actually started this part, like I told you, I started out with the drums throughout for the song first. And I started doing the guitar. And after the guitar, I would then do the bass. And then the keys and synths. So the idea that I have for the chorus was to have double track guitar, pan to both sides. As you can tell here, I double track it here, and then each one is panned. The reason why I want this is that the pre-chorus, even though I have a lot of things going on, they were all pretty much in the center, or at least like panned like a tiny bit to the side. But the chorus, like I told you, this is where I want the energy to kind of like release and explode. So the best way to do it is to have something really wide in the side, and guitar is the best thing for that. Yep. I just recorded two different takes. I have to do it two different takes because if you duplicate the same text, it and then you pan it and then you pan the two tracks to two sides, it's gonna turn into mono. That's just how it is. So I had to do two different takes. It took me a while to get it really tight like that. I'll play you just the guitar. Even though it sounds pretty like tight on time, it's that they are actually very syncopated. Those guitar, I'll play it with the drums so you can tell how syncopated they are. And then from those rhythm guitar layers is where I get the idea for the bass line. And then together with the drums, the bass, and the guitar, this is like the very core, the very frame for the chorus. The synth and other stuff are just extra. Honestly, they're just extra, but like the very core is a D story. So you can hear like the interplay between the bass and the guitar. The bass is pretty much on and off time, on and off time, while the guitar is always off time, always on the upbeat. Pretty cool, yeah? Well, here comes the extra stuff, the ambient stuff in the background, which is to give that dreamy vibe still. Oh, actually, in the second half, no, not the second half. I call it post chorus, but it's actually just the second half of the chorus where we bring back that descending whole tone scale. So I think, no, I changed the rhythm actually. Changed the rhythm up, but it's still quite funky and syncopated. But now we have that descending whole tone scale. And then the bass is going full on the floor again, along with the drums. So this time we have the guitar doing the on and off beat, and the bass is going straight on the beat all the time. So if you listen closely to this track, there's always that interplay between on and off beat, off and on beat. There's always at least two elements in the track that's doing that, and then there's a counter melody as well in the lead guitar. Pretty cool, eh? Oh yeah, in the second half of the chorus as well, there's also something that I put in to be felt, not really to be heard again. I mean, you can kind of hear it. But it's very subtle. It's because like all of the other layers are really like overdriven and heavy and distorted and like powerful and punchy. So I just want to have something a little bit more plucky on the top end that's gonna fill up the frequency spectrum. And so I just use this. Again, highlighting that syncopating rhythm in the guitar. Even if I only played that with the bass, it still have that interplay. And while everything is going rhythmic, there's still that ambient synth in the background.
All the stars that you were.
I only have it playing only one note, holding out. What note is that? Yeah, that's an E. Just a root note, being held over the entire second half of the chorus. Everything has a job there, and the reason why I said that I did really well in terms of producing the track is that everything is kept to the minimum. However, they still have like a really core or important role in the arrangement itself. Like, not really anything is being too extra or being added for no reason, which is what I tend to do in the past. Probably, yeah, you can probably tell in some of the tracks in the first half of the album as well. That kind of happened, but for this time, well, partly because I stick to like the band sound and band arrangement, that kind of like helped me restrict that a bit. But still, like everything added, I could still easily add a lot more stuff, a lot more synths, a lot more counter melody to any point of the song, and it could still be very unnecessary. But fortunately, I didn't. I won't play you the interlude because that will be a surprise for you when you listen to the full song. Let's go to the verse 2, which is slightly different. I'm trying to I'm trying to solo out what's going on here. Let's just hear the keys and the synths for now. Yeah, very ambient, very serene. I love it. It's a great contrast to whatever has been going on since the start of the song because everything was in your face the whole time. Well, even though the kick is still going full on the floor, but everything else kind of like laid back more. There's guitar too, but it doesn't have the central role anymore in terms of carrying the harmony.
Waking up when the sun comes down, just now. Trying to live but forgetting how. I'm breathing down for sure. My time on earth is floating away. This is, that's why I'm sending the stars away. I'm tired of the shit.
Yeah, I just let it roll through the whole verse so you can hear the lyrics as well. Because I haven't shown you really the lyrics for that verse 2. Okay, so the story has been going like this. In the verse 1, I hated the kid. Right? In the pre-chorus, I explain why I hate the kid. And in the chorus, I say what I want to say to the kid. But then in verse 2, because like I told you, in the end, everyone involved in the story is me. I'm the one that hate the kid. I'm the kid. I'm the other people that give the kid false hopes and everything. They owe me. So verse 2 is where I present that reality of all of that being me in the present, struggling. That's why I'm starting the verse 2 with I'm waking up when the sun comes down just now. That means I cannot sleep at night because of all this anxiety. I'm trying to live but forgetting how. I'm breathing there for sure. That's the reference to the difference between living and surviving. Like I told you a couple episodes back, that's been going throughout the whole album too. Going back to the production, one new thing I add here that I feel like I should point out is this pad here that's playing the arpeggio. I lied to you. That's not the arpeggio. Yeah, just a shimmering pad. Okay, and that's pretty much it for the second verse, to be honest. And then we have some like. It's meant to go with the guitar too, because the guitar is also playing the counter melody on the other side of the stereo field. Yep, so I have all of that going on in the side of the arrangement in terms of like the stereo field. I don't want to squish it back to the center. So then I also obviously don't want it too much in the side, otherwise the chorus gonna lose its impact in terms of the width. So what I resorted to is to have the core elements in the center, like all of that shimmering pads and all everything that's like responsible for like the heavy lifting of the harmony is right in the center. However, the bits and bobs that are like grabbing your interest, I would say, all that counter melody stuff, anything that's not sustaining too much, anything that's like just there to decorate. That's the word. Decorate are all in the side because they just appearing and disappearing, appearing and disappearing. They're not permanently in the side, so it doesn't feel like this section of the song doesn't take too much of the stereo field. I think that makes sense. The chorus is pretty much the same again, but then I added this arpeggio. Yeah, as you can tell as well from this is what I like have hidden. This is what I actually played in. I just literally just play the chords on my MIDI keyboard, of course. But then the magic comes here, where I have all this effects on. But obviously the arpeggiator.
Keep running ahead. You'll be there in time. Your pacing is just right. Keep running ahead. You can trust yourself. You don't.
So yep, that's it. I'm trying not to spoil too much again, even though I spoiled like probably 60-70% of the song already. But that's what I wanted to do as well. I wanted to show you how I like bring this song to life in the production and in the arrangement.
La la la. La la la. Da da. La la la. Da da. La la la. La la la. La la la. La la la. La la la.